All righty, everybody. Welcome to a conference championship tier maker week, Douglas. And I always got to say, Douglas, and this is a very important question. So today we're going to do the podcast outside. How do we prepare for that?
What do you mean?
I mean, we're supposed to do, every day we're supposed to do the podcast outside. How do we prepare for the outdoors?
I think by going outdoors, but here's the problem, Stu. It's raining in Arizona. Who would have thought?
Oh, and it's raining here, so we can't do the podcast outdoors?
Maybe tomorrow.
All right, maybe tomorrow. But anyway, I guess I'll tell you the joke, Douglas. The reason why I did this joke is, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach got interviewed, and the reporter was like, "So Tampa Bay, how Detroit is playing up north. How are you going to prepare to play outside in Detroit?" And the guy was like, "Well, they play in a dome."
I messed up.
It's like, are you kidding me? You could literally go on Wikipedia. You could Google search that. You are a darn journalist. And that's your question? Man, I just feel like schmucks like me. I'm just saying it. They were just trying to go viral. Well, that's a bad way to go viral. I'm just saying. But anyway, we got some tier makers. Normally we would talk about 1 through 10, but since we're in the conference championship, we're only going to talk about 8, 9, and 10. We do a 1 through 10 scale. But look at that. 8 is the teams that have made the conference championship. So this Final Four, no matter what, all 4 of these teams are going to get an 8. There's only going to be 1 9, or maybe 2, for who do I think is going to make the Super Bowl. Nice. And then number 10 is getting that darn Lombardi. And I will say this. I don't think this week we'll get the 10. Do you think next week we'll get the 10? Will we have a 10?
I don't know. I mean, with how good the Ravens look, maybe, but I'd say doubtful.
You say doubtful. We say doubtful. But unfortunately, we got to say goodbye to, unfortunately, more teams that got eliminated this week. I think we're going to be a little bit more nicer this week. Look at that. Say bye to the poor soul.
It was a good week of football.
It was a great week of football. I guess I should ask that. Douglas, what was your thoughts about this week of football?
Like, this was the most fun week to me, personally. I just enjoyed the games. Like, they all felt, I mean, other than, one of them, but, like, really nothing negative to say. It was a fun week.
Honestly, this has been a great week of football. Definitely total opposite. Like, we went from last week where, like, one good game and everything else was just teams collapsing or this team was bad, to now 3 good games of football and one team looking bad, and then one team can't kick a field goal at the end.
What a shame.
What a shame. But unfortunately, we got to talk about some eulogies this week. We got 4 teams this week in our eulogies, and I think maybe 3 of them will be kind. And we'll start with the nice kindness on the Houston Texans, who I literally thought this team was going to be a dumpster fire. I did not think C.J. Stroud was going to be good this year.
Mm-hmm.
They somehow won a playoff game, and they made it this far. So, you know what? Congratulations, Texans.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like there's a lot negative to say. I mean, granted, they didn't score an offensive touchdown, which is a hard way to end the season. But, I mean, that Baltimore defense is unbelievable. So it's it's at Baltimore, rookie QB. You would have liked to see them, like, make it a little more competitive, maybe score a touchdown there, because I think their only touchdown was on, like, a punt return. They kind of kept it close for a half, and then, the Ravens were well-rested, had time to prepare, were ready.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Ravens were a much more better team. I think it's one of those cases where it's like, the Ravens were a better team. I mean, Texans were good, but the Ravens are in, like, a whole nother level right now. I mean, it will be interesting when we talk about next year, because I feel like there's going to be a lot more expectation for this Texans team next year. And I think they have a lot more maneuver since the cap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I mean, there's obviously a lot to be excited about. You know, it's like it's one of those losses that's like, yeah, it was a like big loss, but at the end of the day, I mean, this is a team that destroyed the 49ers, destroyed the Lions, like you know, like they beat so many quality teams this year. Baltimore did. So at the end of the day, you're kind of like not surprised.
yeah, I'm not really that surprised. And like I said, Houston, unfortunately, we'll say it. They're the better Texans team right now. Why? We're supposed to be the better Texas team.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that fact. My gosh.
Please. I don't want the Texans. Texans are a little brother. They're always our little brother to the Cowboys.
Yeah, I don't know.
Even with the Oilers, I'm just saying. No Super Bowls. Just saying.
Yeah.
So long. Farewell, Texas. Avita say goodbye. And now we got to talk about another good eulogies. The Packers. So, Douglas, how do you feel about the Packers right now?
You know, like I don't really have the same thing as the last one. Like it's just another one where it's like a young team that overachieved, and you just feel nothing but optimism for the future. It's as a Detroit fan, it's kind of hard to see them just like not miss a beat in the post Aaron Rodgers world. But like as an unbiased football fan, it's fun to see. You know, like
yeah, it's a crazy season for the Packers because I literally was like preseason. I thought, all right, this Packers team is probably going to be like mid, but like in football hell, and I don't think they're going to be good. I don't think they're going to be bad. And then there's like one point that I thought they were going to be really bad, and I was like, all right, Douglas, they're going back to the 1980s Packers. Yes, you can finally cheer as a Lions fan. Green Bay stinks. Wait a minute, Jordan Love is a good QB now. They're winning a bunch of games. Wait a minute, they beat the Cowboys badly, and they were this close to beating the 49ers. It is crazy to think that.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely scary because I mean the Bears are going to be awesome next year. I think with like having all those top draft picks, the Packers are going to be really good. So it's like, come on, Lions, this might be your year. Let's do it.
Yeah, honestly, I gotta say, if you're a Detroit Lions fan, I know this has been a good season, but you never know when the next time they're gonna come. Maybe like the Packers are gonna be super elite, and Jordan Love's the next Aaron Rodgers right now.
You know, you never know. I mean, if you just look at his numbers, like he had a really, really good season. Like, I think he was the highest rated like in QBR over the last like half of the season. So like, if he plays at that level, they're gonna be a contender for a while.
Yeah, I honestly do think they're going to be a contender for a while. And it's going to be interesting because, like I said, they're a young team. I think the average age, they're the youngest playoff team, I believe, since 1977. I remember one of the stats they said, like 25 is the average age right there for the Packers. So they have a young core. And like I said, for this young core to almost beat the 49ers, was in the lead in the first half and then blew the fourth quarter. You know what? Even if it's a painful loss, you can just put your head held high, Packers. You were this close to making it to the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely different types of losses, and this felt like this and the Texans both felt like it's not quite your time yet, but like you have so many young stars that you'll be back, you know?
Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, Packers, we're going to have to pack it away. No more cheese. No more cheese heads. Fortunately, you're not going to get any more cheeses right now.
No.
It is getting very, very cheesy for you that you're still good. And as a Cowboys fan, why do I have to deal with these bastards? Why? Why, Douglas? They traumatize me.
You know, I thought that you guys got a great matchup when you drew the Packers too. I really did. Crazy.
Honestly,
Crazy how one game changes the whole perspective of a team.
one game really triggers me. And then granted, it made me feel a little bit better because the Packers did really well against the 49ers at 49er Stadium, but it doesn't feel good.
Well, I mean, especially when you know that, like, I feel like, I mean, if they played again, I mean, I doubt it'd be the same result either, you know? So you just got to think as a Cowboys fan, like, what could have been?
What could have been? Honestly, we should have just let the Lions win. And then we played the Rams. And then we're in a better spot.
Yeah.
And then we played Detroit at Detroit.
Yeah, that would have been a tough game.
That would have been a tough game. I think that would have been a close game. That would have been an interesting game.
Yeah, it would have.
But unfortunately, so long, Packers. Avita goodbye. Unfortunately, Packers, you are packed out. And now we got to talk about the Buccaneers, who had a crazy year. How did they make it this far, Douglas? I literally was, when I was making fun of the NFC South, and I said whoever was going to win, doesn't matter. Bucks, Saints, Falcons, they're going to get their butts whooped in the beginning of the season, in the first week of playoff. Turns out, Bucks said no. Eagles are frauds. They're trash. So how do you feel about the Buccaneers this season?
I mean, I feel like you should give Baker Mayfield like a longer contract. I mean, he showed that he's solid. Like they have a good all-around roster. Like when they click, like they're a really good team too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been really.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of they're a weird team because I really don't know how to judge them because it's like they're only a few years off of a Super Bowl with like a lot, like some of the players still there. Like I like when Baker gets in a rhythm. Like when he's confident, he is fun. Like he is a fun QB to watch when he gets on a roll.
Yeah, he's been like really amazing, and this is a crazy like story for Baker. Like, start out the Browns, then like had a bad year, won their first playoff game since like '94. Then and they had like one play away, literally, to making it to the AFC Championship. Got injured, then they let him back in, even though he was too injured. Pretty much, Brownies just said goodbye. Goodbye, Buck. Goodbye, Baker. Get the heck out. Played with the Panthers. It was pretty much like a complete trash in the Panthers. I had no expectations with him with the Buccaneers. Like literally, I thought that they were going to win 6 games and that was it. And you were 9-8. You made it to the playoffs. And you won a playoff game, and you were kind of close against the Lions. So,
Yeah.
You
can't. Not mad about it. Like, because I mean, I really think that Baker's a tad underrated personally. Like I honestly think that the Browns would have been personally. I think they would have been best if they just kept him and let him. Like I don't know how you get rid of somebody that like goes out, wins you playoff games, like is like a fun like piece of your franchise. For Deshaun Watson, like what is that? Like that's the most Browns move.
Yeah, that was the most Browns of all Browns moves of getting rid of Baker. And I honestly do blame the Browns organization for letting Baker just like not sit out instead of like continuing to play even though he was hurt. Like,
well, because he was hurt that whole next season, wasn't he? Like,
yeah, like and they basically were like, no, I want to get rid of Baker. He's trash.
Well, I mean, obviously our good buddy Mr. Theodore was on board with it too, like on board the trash train, and me and you were both like in the same spot of like, dude, like literally, if they can stop Chad Henne, they're in the AFC Championship game. But they didn't stop a backup quarterback. That's not on Baker.
That's not Baker. That's not Baker's fault. So, I mean, it will be interesting, the Baker experiment with the Buccaneers. I'm hoping that I think he will probably be a lot better. I mean, I guess it's going to depend on who's going to be coaching for like the Falcons and maybe the Saints, even though I'm not really like impressed with the Saints. Yeah. And with maybe if they get Belichick, I have heard rumors that Belichick is going to go to the Falcons, but I mean, I feel like if every other team still looks bad, because I do think the Panthers are going to be bad, I don't feel confident with the Saints. They're definitely not going to win a play. They're definitely not good. And maybe the Falcons, like maybe they got a good QB, but like if I squinch my eyes, but like I think honestly,
if they get a QB, like I think the Falcons are a good team.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get Bill Belichick and like, I feel like they're close. Like they're the closest out of the teams. Like I don't know. I think me and you are on the same page with the Saints, though. Neither of us are particularly high on the Saints.
No, I don't think Derek Carr is that good of a QB. But I do feel like if Belichick doesn't go to Tampa Bay, I mean, not Tampa Bay. I'm sorry, the Falcons, and they don't get a good QB. Let's just theoretically say that for next year. Tampa's in a good place of cruising.
Yeah. I mean, they could definitely run back the division for sure.
Yeah, you get more good weapons. Like for Tampa Bay, like I think they're gonna easily win the division. And I think they might have like a good spot of making like a good decent run in the playoffs. I don't know if they'll make it to the Super Bowl era like they did with Brady, but
I mean, they could easily replicate this season, win a playoff game or two, win the division. Like for most teams, that's a fantastic year.
yeah, that's a fantastic year. I mean, that is achievable. That is Panthers' dreams, is just losing to the Lions in the playoff game.
I mean, that was the Lions' dreams for 60 years.
Yes, this is a Lion. It's a pain that Lions fans have been dreaming up for so long.
Yeah, I would trade this pain for our pain of the past decades any day.
Yes. Yes. And now we got to talk about, unfortunately, so the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Bucs stopped here.
Go sail away. Go sail
Go
away.
sail away. Some sail away out of here. Now we got to talk about another team that's, oh my God. Okay. What was the worst for the Buffalo Bills? I'm trying to think about it. And the pains are right now. Is it the 91 Super Bowl where they missed the kick wide right? Is it the Music City Miracle in 2000 where people still complain about it was a forward pass and it was not? And the Titans scored a touchdown. The 18 years that Tom Brady owned this franchise, or this game where they had a home game and they missed a kick on a 40-yard line.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I obviously wasn't really around for the early ones, but this one stung. Like not even as a Bills fan, but this one hurt.
Oh my God.
You get them at home, you beat them at Arrowhead in the regular season. Everything's like it's the perfect situation. And then I don't know what Josh Allen was doing at the end, man. Like, why is he throwing the ball 60 yards? Dump it off. Like, just you did it all game so beautifully, and he just got impatient. Like, you had it. You had the game. You got greedy, and it potentially cost you a chance at a Super Bowl, man. That's unreal.
And you know what the sad part is? I think this is honestly, though, I think that door is shut. I think the door is shut. I don't think they have. I mean, how can you keep the same core? You never won it. You can't beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs lives in Bills' heads rent free for the past 4 years.
Well, I mean, that's what's so hard is because the regular season, the Bills are fine. Like, there's just something about that added pressure that Mahomes just knows how to win it and Josh Allen can't. And like, until Josh Allen can beat the Chiefs, like this is going to be his legacy.
Yep. And I got to say one thing. I was right, Douglas. Remember when we didn't have a big argument this week, but I said that was my biggest fear for the Buffalo Bills is like they can't beat KC in the regular season. And I know you said this is home field, it's different, all that stuff.
Yeah. It felt different. It felt different. Josh Allen was balling too for most of that game. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, if the Bills made some catches, because if either of these teams are going to lose because of drops, I assume it'd be the Chiefs. But I mean, Stephon Diggs should have had that throw at the end, that huge bomb. Like the defense kind of choked at the end too. I mean, you maybe get the ball back there and have another shot at the field goal, but you give up 2 easy runs for a first down. Like it was a team loss. Missed kick, missed catch, bad defense at the end.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you do now with Josh Allen? All these players, do you get rid of? What do you do? Like, I feel like it's like I don't know what you do because I think there's going to be a huge regression. I think that's my first one.
I mean, this is my thought. Like, this might be a bad thought, but if I'm them, and this might not be the right idea by any means, but I'm considering firing the coach.
Yeah, I think honestly, yeah, you got to fire the coach.
I do think that Josh Allen is talented enough, but there's just something that sometimes you see that coaching switch makes that jump. I mean, if I'm them, I'm good. If I'm the ownership, I know how close this team is, and I might just restart it. There's nothing that this coach has done that I'm I got to keep him. Like, if you have this good of a roster, like, this is kind of the expectation.
Yeah,
It's to,
their
like, at least make
expectation
the
was
playoff, win your division. Like, you should be a Super Bowl contender. So, like, if I'm them, I might take that move first. And, like, it's hard to fire a winning coach, but, like, we've talked a lot about when teams are in this weird spot, like, sometimes you have to do the uncomfortable thing, and it might be, like, shoot, go get an elite coach. Could you
get
imagine if
Belichick.
they fired this dude and
Could you
got Bill
imagine?
Belichick?
Yeah, like could you imagine like the guy that's tormented you for 18 years, and you get Belichick as a head coach with all this talent right now?
Yeah.
I
Well,
think they
because, I
could.
mean, the fact that they had such a bad middle of the season, too, like, it makes me feel like there's, like, a mental problem. Like, they, like, lost focus. Like, they're just not prepared, you know? And I'm like, if I'm their fans, like, I would want a coaching change. I don't know. Like, this felt like a loss where it was just like Josh Allen taking too many chances and like I don't know, like they just didn't adjust quick enough to like what the Chiefs were doing, and it felt like they just got out coached in a lot of ways too. I mean, the Chiefs were ready for him, made all the big plays. You know, I mean, you kind of expected some drops and everything from the Chiefs of their year, and they had that Super Bowl caliber play when it mattered most. Bills did not.
Nope, Bills did not. And like I said, fortunately for the Buffalo Bills, your season's over, and the Kansas City Chiefs still live rent free in your head. Patrick
Like, yeah,
Mahomes lives rent free in your head, and he's even owned you at the Bills Mafia. Just saying.
like how hard is that though? You know, like the first two teams we talked about, there's optimism of this team. You're like, dude, what happened? Like, if you would have told me 4 years ago that this team still would have never beaten the Chiefs in the playoffs, I'd be like, come on, dude. Josh Allen's eventually going to do it.
Yeah, it
No.
is crazy to think. So, like 2020, they lost to the Chiefs. 2021, they lost to the Chiefs. 2020, I'm trying to think. So
They
last
lost
year,
to the
they lost to the
Bengals.
Bengals. That was the first round, right? I don't even think it was like close. They lost in the first round, first or second round.
I think it was the second
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah, it's
pretty
right.
sure
It was
that,
the second round. Yeah, it was the second round because that was the same round when the Cowboys went out. So yeah,
yeah.
and then you
So
lost, and you lost to the Chiefs in the second round. Never made it to an NFC champ. Oh, I'm trying. No way. Did they make an NFC championship in the fourth?
um well yeah, I mean the first one I think was the AFC championship.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure yeah. I don't know. If I'm a Bills fan, I'm just because like I feel like they live for Bills football in Buffalo too, and just it's gonna be such a long off season.
It's going to be such a long off season. It's going to be such a disappointing off season. I mean, man, if you're a Bills, yeah, this is. I don't know who has it worse right now. You got to think about it in the postseason. Cowboys fans or Bills fans?
I mean, I think Bills fans, because like I mean, like granted, the Cowboys have been good for a few years, but like this was their first year that I genuinely was like, shoot, man, the Cowboys might do this. I've been saying the Bills might do this for like 3 years now, and like when you have 3 years of coming up short, like the Cowboys, I mean, we all kind of expect it too, but
Oh
like
no!
Buffalo.
How dare you? Even though it's true, Douglas.
Yeah, sorry, Stu. The unfortunate reality.
The unfortunate reality is that the Bills can't can't beat can't beat KC. Even at home, you can't beat KC when the
Yeah,
playoffs.
you got to get better.
You got to get better, and I don't know what you can do like to get better besides, I guess, maybe fire the coach. But I'm just like, but I will say, sayonara, Buffalo Bills. Bills, your season is done.
Yeah.
Just the Bills
Oh,
Mafia is Bill Mafia right now. So sayonara, Buffalo. Now we got to talk about these other two games right now. We got the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. We got the 3:30 Eastern time game. So Douglas, who are you going to pick to go to the Super Bowl? And we'll do it 3, 2, 1 ready. So 3, 2, I already have 1. 1,
Baltimore.
Baltimore. I hate to say it.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's been like if I did not think the Chiefs even won their first game. Like they have proved me wrong. And I mean, they very well might again. Anytime you have Mahomes and you have Kelsey and you have Chris Jones, it's not like I don't think that either of us think they don't have a chance. But I mean, just look at the Ravens. Like that's the best team in football.
Yeah. Like I will honestly say this, like the Ravens have not stopped the beat. They were dominant. Now, granted, I feel like if they were playing against Buffalo, I think the Ravens would be a much more better shot at making the Super Bowl than the Chiefs. In my opinion. Now, I will say, I think probably the one pro I would say about the Kansas City Chiefs, they won 2 Super Bowls. This is the same core. They've already came back to back. They know the pressure. Patrick Mahomes has been doubted. You doubted him against the Dolphins. Beat them. You doubted him against the Bills. They beat them. At home.
They proved me wrong a lot.
Yeah. So that is the one thing I will say that they're good right now. And they still have a good still have a good defense right now. Like it will be interesting. Can they put pressure on Lamar?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, though. I genuinely don't know that anybody can. I mean, that dude's just insane.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the Chiefs or the Ravens have such a good defense too. Like, just so dominant. Like, that's next level domination. To like hold the Texans. The Texans did not get up within the 25-yard line. They did not enter the red zone in the entire game with C.J. Stroud that just set an all-time playoff record the week before. Like I don't think we're really appreciating how truly dominant this defense for the Ravens is. But it's Patrick Mahomes.
This is Patrick Mahomes. And maybe I would say the one con is this is not the strong Kansas City Chiefs as last year. But I think also the pro, if I would put it right there, this postseason of Kansas City Chiefs feels like the Kansas City Chiefs of last year.
Well, I mean, in some ways it feels like a better version because they don't need Mahomes to play perfect to win right now, which is scary. I mean, Mahomes kind of had to play pretty close to perfect to beat the Bills. And I mean, I do think that he'll have to play pretty close to perfect to beat the Ravens. But there's nobody in the world that could do it better than Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to pick one quarterback that could win in Baltimore in this game, this is the guy that could do it.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't Brock Purdy who threw 4 picks against Baltimore. This is, Super Bowl, like 2-time Super Bowl winner, MVPs. You still got future Hall of Famer Travis Kelce. You got a better defense than last year in Kansas City. So, I mean, I think they're a strong 8, but this just feels like Baltimore's year.
Yeah, I honestly feel like this is Baltimore's year. And I mean, it's going to be crazy. I would not be surprised, to be honest with you, Douglas, if Kansas City just like puts it upset and just takes down. And then it's just like, man, you doubted us. You thought we were the weakest. You gave us a 6. You thought we were going to be done. No, sir.
Well, I mean, these are two, I think that these are probably the 2 best coach teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, I think genuinely John Harbaugh and Andy Reid are probably the 2 best football coaches. I mean, they've won 3 Super Bowls. John Harbaugh's always just having good teams. He has won a Super Bowl. I'm like, man, I can't think of many coaches that I would pick over either of these guys or 2 quarterbacks I could pick. I mean, this easily could be the Super Bowl if they weren't in the same conference. This possibly would be the Super Bowl.
This could have been the Super Bowl, and I definitely do think both of these. This AFC is definitely the strongest in the NFC. Far enough. I will always do that.
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers, I think, would give them a good game. But, man, oh, man. I don't know. I love what the Chiefs are doing, though. What have they made? 7 straight AFC championship games? That is unbelievable.
I'm trying to think. So they got the first year in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 24. Yeah. I think since 2019. Yeah.
With this has been one of the 4 best teams in football for the better part of a decade.
And they only lost like 2 AFC championships. One was like an elite Tom Brady. And then one was Joe Burrow. It was in a hot streak. Like,
well, yeah, and then they made the Super Bowl once, and then guess who they lost to?
Tom Brady.
Like, Tom Brady appears to be the Chiefs' kryptonite, and guess who's retired? Tom Brady.
Yes. So maybe this might be the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty. You know what I mean?
I mean, they're definitely a dynasty. I mean, if they won this one, then, you know, I mean, they're already like an all-time great, like a run here with Mahomes, but like, man, if they pull this off and win the Super Bowl, you know, I mean, you got nothing but just awe. Like, I think you just have to be in awe of the greatness that we're seeing from Mahomes.
Yes. And also the awe that the Swifties are now going to be huge Chiefs fans right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true too. We need to get them out of here. We need to focus on football.
No, the Swifties can come and stay. I don't care, Douglas. The Swifties can stay. Does the NFL care about me and you, Douglas? No, they don't. They can call me I'm a garbage human being. They can slap my mama, and I'll still watch those football games. Don't you?
See,
I
do wonder what the line is when we kind of say, all right, we're over the NFL, because like it would take a lot. Like it's a high level of football. It's fun. These teams have so much history. But I mean, I think the Chiefs are as solid of an 8 as you can be. I think against any other team, they would be favored in the NFL, arguably, other than maybe the 49ers. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a bummer for them that they have to go into Baltimore. But hey, I think Patrick Mahomes is excited for it.
Yeah, let's see can Patty Mahomes finally get that? Can he get the 3 ring and be like Brady? That's the question right there. Can he be like the Patriots and get the 3 ring in this decade? Because that's elite of elite clubs. If you think about it.
Oh,
I mean, in the Super Bowl era, you had the 70s, you had the Steelers, the 80s, you had the 49ers, the 90s, you had the Cowboys, 2010, the 2000s, and the 2010s was the Patriots. Can Kansas City be in that? If you think about it.
I mean, they're close. If they do win this one, I mean, obviously it's just an incredible dynasty. Either way, it's an incredible run. I mean, you know, nothing but love for what they've done.
Like, I'm kind of like thinking, when is it going to end for the Chiefs? That's why I got to think about it.
Well, I mean, the fact that they've kind of like been able to shift too, like this feels like a classic Nick Saban, you know, where it's like literally they're changing up the identity of their team and not missing a beat. Like they went from just like a huge, like Patrick Mahomes is going to win it for us to, yeah, we're going to play some defense and just like, you know, like they play the fact that they've done it with multiple styles too. It feels Patriot-esque, you know. You have the defensive heavy like Patriots teams that beat those like best show on turf teams. And then you know what? They got all of a sudden MVP Brady who's out there throwing 50 touchdowns to Randy Moss. Like they went from defense to Brady being the focal point. The Chiefs are doing the opposite. It's a good time.
Yeah. It's a good time.
Great good coaching, great organization.
Yeah, this is going to be so much interesting. Like I said, I'm very interested in the Chiefs. Even if they lose this one, even if they go out, I'm still going to say, you know what? It's a good season for you guys. You made it a lot farther than most people did it. So I don't think you should be disappointed if you're a Chiefs fan, no matter what the outcome is. Like I don't think any of the. Oh, that's a good question. Well, I guess we'll talk about it when we get to talk about the Ravens, which we both gave them the 9. Let's be honest, Douglas. We agree. I think this team's going to make it to the 9. Now, I guess I should ask this: if the Ravens lose this game, is this a disappointing season?
Oh, absolutely.
You think it's yeah?
I think for me, it's kind of. I think there's more pressure on Baltimore in this game by a good amount than there is on Kansas City. Because Kansas City is the underdog. They've won 2 Super Bowls. Lamar's got to prove that he can take that next step, you know? This is where he can prove that he is more than just, you know, a good QB. This is where he can prove that he belongs in the same conversation as Mahomes, you know? Because, like, nobody really talks about him in that same light as Mahomes and Allen and Burrow or even Herbert. Like, there's more love for Justin Herbert than there is for Lamar.
And it's crazy because I feel like Lamar has been better in the postseason than Justin Herbert has been.
Well, exactly. Like Justin Herbert hasn't done anything, but everybody's like, "Oh, Herbert!" But like Lamar won the Heisman Trophy. He's won an NFL MVP. He's the number one seed in the AFC on like the most dominant team in football. But still, like he's probably like the fifth most talked about quarterback, at
Mhm.
least in the AFC. I mean, you even have like people talking about Tua more than you have people talking about Lamar sometimes. It's like I don't get why there's such a lack of love for Lamar.
There is no love for Lamar Jackson right now. It is so crazy to think about that. And like I said, we'll go to our one pro, I will say, on the Baltimore Ravens. This defense is elite. The offense look elite right now. Both
Yeah.
look elite. This is the best Baltimore. This is the best Baltimore since that 2013 with Ray Lewis and Joe Flacco.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
it is crazy to think that it's been that long. It's been a decade since Baltimore's been this good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean they're just so dominant too. Like just the defense. I mean they put up 34 points still, which is awesome. Like they haven't even had to rely on Lamar to like really win them games because their defense has just been so unbelievable. Like when they played the 49ers, they destroyed them. Like Brock Purdy threw 4 picks. When they played against the Chiefs, or not the Chiefs, the Bill, I can't think. They played the Dolphins, destroyed them.
Yeah.
Like like the Dolphins are supposed to be like the most prolific offense in football. The Ravens said, "We don't care." Boom, smack them in the mouth, win by 30.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I don't know really at this moment how to confidently beat Baltimore.
I mean, but like I said, this is going to be my biggest con right now, and I will talk about it. Lamar's history of choking the postseason
Well, I mean,
is
and that's why Lamar gets no love. Like that's it. But then, like, why is Josh Allen talked about more than Lamar? What has Josh Allen actually won? I mean,
yeah. I
he
honestly will say
loses.
Lamar is better than Josh Allen. I'm sorry. End of question. I know like people love Josh Allen. Lamar's better than Josh Allen.
Yeah, no doubt. Like Josh Allen has a lot of like awesome traits, but like, no. Like I would take if I had to build a franchise around a QB, Lamar is up on the very high on that list.
Yeah, and like I said, this is Baltimore's game to lose. They pretty much have to win this game right now to get to the Super Bowl. And like
Well,
I
I mean,
said,
yeah, like this. If they do lose, though, like it's such a disappointment. Like we just like you're not going to have a better chance. Home game, big favorite, best defense, like elite offense.
mhm,
You got to win it. Like if you let the Chiefs come into your stadium and win, like I don't know when you're ever going to win. It's kind of the same thing as the Bills. Like if you get them at home, heavy favorite in your stadium, you got to get that job done.
yeah, and I feel like this is their only year right now for Baltimore right now. This is like their best shot right now. And I feel like the door, it's the same thing I feel about the Bills. It's like the door's about to close for Super Bowl opportunities. And for Baltimore, you got to get this win. You have to.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that all the pressure's on them.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part, though. Like you said, like Lamar needs this one for like his legacy. Where if Patrick Mahomes loses, nobody's gonna be like, Mahomes is a bum. It's like Mahomes already has his legacy. He could, not really do anything for the rest of his career and still be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Mhm.
So this is your moment to shine, Lamar.
This is your moment to shine. There is no other opportunities right now. You have one opportunity right now, Baltimore. Win this game and you cement your legacy. You lose this game, your choke legacy continues.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So we will talk. We have just finished the AFC. Now we
Yep.
got the final one, which is the NFC. And Douglas, I just got to say, how does it feel to be in a world where the Detroit Lions are playing this week?
I don't think I fully processed it. Because like my life has just been so hectic that like it's really weird to see Detroit Lions and winning in like the same kind of aura here. Like it is a very bizarre feeling. My coworker, who's a huge 49ers fan, said she is really terrified this weekend. And this might rub you the wrong way, Stu. She said Detroit is America's team right now.
No!
And like I'm not even joking. Like that was completely unprompted. She's like, America seems to be behind Detroit right now. She's like, everybody is just loving the story, seeing Detroit finally win. So she is incredibly nervous because Detroit's got momentum, they got grit, they got swagger. It's a scary team to play right now.
Yes. Now, I guess we should do the 3, 2, 1. We got to ask who you think is going to win this game. I had to do it. 3, 2, 1, 49ers.
49ers, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Even you both.
I mean, if, like, granted, I could sit here and just say I think the Lions are honestly going to win. But like I've said all year, I think that I've said the 49ers are the best team. I have shifted that to the Ravens. But, like, I just think that the 49ers are just unbelievable. I will say that after seeing the Packers give them such a good game, I have more hope than I did a little bit.
Yeah.
Like,
honestly, I do agree. If the Packers just would have gotten annihilated by the 49ers, then I would have been like, Detroit, you have no hope. But since that was a close game.
Yeah, and Deebo Samuel's hurt. And, like, there's reasons to have optimism. Like, I don't feel as scared about this game as I did like a month ago. Like, just seeing how the Lions are just, like, getting creative on offense. Like, Aiden Hutchinson's been on a tear. Like, I think he's had 8 sacks in the last 4 games. Like, Hutchinson's finally doing something. Like, the cornerbacks are all healthy. But, I mean, like, my goodness, the 49ers are deep. But I think if the Lions can rattle Brock Purdy, though, like we've seen Brock Purdy, I mean, he's still only in his second year.
He's not good under pressure. That's the one thing that Brock Purdy's not good at. And you saw that with that Packers game. He was not good under pressure.
Well, and I mean, pro for the Lions too. Like the Lions, I think that they have the best offensive line in football.
Mm-hmm.
Penei Sewell was rated as the #1 offensive tackle in the league. And the best QB in the entire NFL, when like they're protected, is Jared Goff. Like, he has the highest QBR, but when he's blitzed, he drops all the way down to like bottom in the 20s. So like if the whole game is literally going to be, can the Lions give Goff time to throw?
Yeah.
That's not easy against the 49ers, though, when you have freaking Bosa out there and all these other studs. So it's like, I think the whole game for me is going to come down to, can this Lions offensive line hold up against the best defensive line in the league?
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
We'll see. And I just got to say, I know we're probably just both going to give the Lions an 8. First of all, I just got to say for the Lions, we need to have this a lot more bigger. Sorry. we can't shame the Lions right there. We got to give them
that?
We got to give them that nice 8 right here. And then we got to put that in the middle right there. First of all, my stepfather, who's been a disgruntled Lions fan, and even though I always joke, all Lions fans have been disgruntled for all his life, he is now proud now to wear, and I have this Honolulu blue supporting
Honolulu blue.
Yes, the new Lions. And I just got to say this, Douglas, if they make it to the Super Bowl, if they beat the 49ers, you're going to shed a tear, aren't you?
I think at this point, I will, because like me and all the buddies, we all booked our ski trip for the Lions going to the Super Bowl, and like not really thinking that it like was actually a possibility, but here we are, 1 game away, and the thought of just watching the Lions in the Super Bowl with the boys doesn't get better than that.
And if they win if they beat Patrick Mahomes or they beat the Ravens, how are you gonna feel about that? You're gonna have a bunch of people crying. You're gonna shed a tear.
So I think I texted you this the other day, Stu, because like I don't think I realized like how much like people are embracing this team. Like my 49ers coworker and like other people are even like, dude, like I was crying watching the Lions actually win. They're like, I can't believe it. Like, you know, like they're showing all these fans that have been fans for 50, 60 years. It's like we've seen the 49ers have their runs. We've seen the Ravens win a Super Bowl. We've seen the Chiefs win a Super Bowl. Do you know who hasn't won a Super Bowl? This
Lions. This has never been seen a Super Bowl. It is crazy to think about it. The last time they made it to the NFC Championship was 91. Last time they won a championship, it was before the Super Bowl era. It's 57.
Yep.
Like, Eisenhower was president the last time the Lions were champions of something.
It's pretty wild. Like I mean, obviously it's a first in my lifetime. A lot of things are first even in my dad's lifetime at this point. And so it's just, I mean, I think it's like the best story out of all of them. But at the end of the day, it's all football. But I mean, I will say this though: if any coach will have a team ready to play in this type of environment, it's going to be the Lions. Like Dan Campbell will have these boys ready to play.
I think they're going to be ready to play. I think they're going to go full stop. Let's go bite some caps. We're ready.
And the fact that like they're not scared in the biggest moments to make like really gutsy calls, and like they execute them a good amount. Like I know we've had our hate on like some of his gutsy play calls, and like those have kind of sucked, but like they're fun to work. Like the Bills, they tried one and I didn't like the Bills fake punt attempt, like on their own 20.
Oh yeah, that was awful. Oh God, like they did the worst way. Where
yeah,
it was like
close. I don't know what they were even doing, but like the Lions are just continually creative, and like I think that they could have enough wrinkles to give the 49ers some trouble. And I mean, man, oh man, Jahmyr Gibbs, holy guacamole, that dude's fast.
And this is crazy. And it's crazy to think, because I know this is going to be the year we're going to talk about which team from the AFC and which team in the NFC made it to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Douglas, how are you going to feel if the first year we do this, we're going to talk about how the Detroit Lions made it to the Super Bowl?
Like, I don't know. Like, I was talking to people at work today, and I was like, I mean, I am completely content if the Lions don't win. Like, every part of me wants them to win, but I feel like I'd be like almost greedy to like expect them to win. But like, I have this like weird optimism that they're gonna have a good game, that they'll at least make it a really close game. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I just feel like this team is like, there's something special about this team for whatever reason. Like, I don't know if it's just like the way Goff is playing with his confidence. There's just some fun swagger about this team that you just can't help but kind of like love.
Yeah. I feel like if I had to think about the history of football, I feel like the Lions, I feel like this is like Burrow a couple years ago. Or I'm thinking another team that had a long drought that was mocked at the New Orleans Saints 2009. If you think about it, had that magical year, had a tough like route because of Hurricane Katrina, and then came back and won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. You know, I mean, obviously I'm biased. I'm a Lions fan, but like everything I've seen, like I do think that most of America outside of the other teams like cities are rooting for the Lions, which is extra fun. You know, it's just kind of fun to see a whole group of people rally around this team. Like their coach is so much fun. Like their offensive coordinator is probably going to be a head coach next year, which is a bummer. So like hopefully this guy can take us to the promised land.
Yeah.
But you know, if Goff wins this game too, like our buddy Alex, you know, he's saying that he doesn't think they can win it all with Goff. That would shut him up pretty quick, I would say, if they can win the Super Bowl with Mr. Jared Goff.
And like I said, he has that chip on his shoulder because, like I said, the Rams booted him out, saying, "You're not going to win a Super Bowl with us."
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, with the 2 years of the Lions, granted, you know, the first 2 years were kind of bad with Goff. Mm-hmm. Not gonna lie, they were pretty bad. Yeah. But to turn around this team and make it to the Super Bowl and make it to the promised land, that would be amazing. Now, I guess I will ask, what do you think the biggest con do you think of the Detroit Lions? I know you love the Lions. What is their cons?
But I mean, hey, the point of this for me is to be non-biased. Like I could sit here and give Lions love and like, you know, I love the Lions. I mean, I've watched every game of the 0-16 season and rooted hard. As sad as that is, like I consider myself to be a fairly diehard Lions fan, high and low times. I'd say that this team, I mean, it's a pretty obvious that the defense isn't up to snuff of the 49ers.
No. You know?
I mean, the defense, like, because that's the scary thing, though. If the Lions have another good draft and get a few more good defenders, like, they're not far off. Like, they already have arguably the best offensive line, like, really good, like, running backs, receivers, tight ends. Like, the offense is solid. But, like, the pass defense, you're just kind of like, ugh. And, like, if Aiden Hutchinson can get some pressure and make Purdy uncomfortable, they can do okay. But, like, if Brock Purdy has all day to throw to those receivers.
Oh yeah, you have no shot. I think
Yeah.
if you don't give any pressure to Brock Purdy, this team's lost. 100%.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I genuinely think that this is going to be an offensive line game. Like, both of these quarterbacks are pretty rough under pressure. So, which offensive line can protect their quarterback? I will say, though, a favorable matchup that I really like that the Lions hopefully will exploit is they're a good running team, and the 49ers, if they have a weakness, it's defending the run. So,
Yeah.
hopefully, the Lions really, try to get Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery out in space.
Oh, and your Lovis and your favorite patron St. Brown.
I love St. Brown, yeah. I mean,
Oh
I
my.
think too, like this whole team, like they have a chip on their shoulder. Like St. Brown is an all pro, but he didn't make like the what do they call it? The All-Star game.
No, he didn't make the Pro Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't make the Pro Bowl, but he's an all pro. Like that just shows the lack of love Detroit gets sometimes. Because being an all pro means that he was one of the best like 4 or 5 receivers in football, theoretically. But he doesn't make the Pro Bowl. It's just like I don't get where the lack of love is, He has a chip on his shoulder. Goff has a chip on his shoulder. If they can keep that focus and mentality, watch out.
Watch out. And man, we might have the Lions in the Super Bowl. I mean, I will always say this is kind of a random tangent. So I have my stepfather's friend, Lions fan, through and through. Got Barry Sanders autographs, has a Lions man cave. And he literally was like, buddy, you're a multimillionaire. He's retired now. Why don't you take a business trip to San Francisco? How many times are you going to see this Lions team play NFC Championship?
Well, our buddy Reese, he lives in the Bay Area. We're seeing if we could all get out there maybe, but I'm not looking to spend $600 on tickets, as fun as it would be.
Oh my god, 11. It was a costly like $600 flights, $1,500 for room for hotel, and probably $600 for that's like at least a good $3,000-$4,000. But I'm telling
you, like I'm a diehard Lions fan, but I prefer I can't talk. I'd rather watch it on TV. Like as much as I would like to go up there, I don't know. I like their odds, but hope we lost you still.
It did it again. Our hack fraudness and Wi-Fi ended it. But I was going to say for Sunday, you're representing the Honolulu Blue for this Sunday.
Oh, absolutely. Be cheering loud, hoping that Goff and the boys have another great game in them.
And if they win it, Douglas, I'm going to give you a call right afterwards. And I'm going to tell you, are you crying, bro?
I'm gonna watch. I want to see those press conferences too. I want to see what Dan Campbell does if he wins this game.
Oh my god! I hope he cries. I want Campbell to cry.
If somehow the Lions and Michigan won like their respective championships in the same year, like I don't know, like I think my life is complete. Still, like it's all just gravy from here.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like the Lions get more credit. I feel like for the championship because I feel like Michigan had like, all right, this was an elite team. This was really good. This was their year. Nobody thought that this was going to be a year. I literally gave them a 6 preseason.
Well, my dad's buddies, they all believed in them. Like a lot of them went down. Like they kept putting money on the Lions to win the Super Bowl, and they have been all season. And people in Detroit believed.
Yeah.
Detroit knows.
Detroit never knows. And you know what? Are you ready for Dan Campbell to bite some kneecaps in San Francisco?
Let's go. I don't think they could have gotten a better coach to fit Detroit's mentality. So good for you, Detroit. I'm excited.
I'm excited. This is probably the best. And I even agree. Even my stepfather said it best. He was like, this is probably the best Lions team he has seen in his lifetime. This might be even better. And I might even say sacrilege than Barry Sanders teams. Because Barry Sanders was good, but he never had a good coach. Never in his career.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, this team feels special for some reason. And, like, in some ways, granted, Stafford was amazing, but it's like Stafford never won us a division title or won 2 playoff games.
No, what did Stafford do? Stafford was okay.
Yeah, I mean, he put up numbers on losing teams. Like, he was a Derek Carr for us.
Yeah, he literally threw you touchdowns in garbage time when you were losing.
Exactly. So
yeah, that's great for fantasy football, but does that win you football games? No.
No. Didn't win us a football game.
No, didn't get you a football game. And Goff has done 3 greatest things that Stafford never done. Won the division, became NFC North champions, won a playoff game, and made it to the NFC Championship. Now the good question is, can he get the final leg and make this team go to the Super Bowl? No other line done it.
Goff, that's our quarterback.
Yes.
What a guy.
And also we got to talk about, I know we've been gushing about the Lions, but we got to talk about these 49ers. We both agree. I know you're a Lions fan and I'm rooting for the Lions, but I think San Francisco's got this.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely the favorite. There's there's obviously momentum and things like that too in sports. I mean, it was really weird to watch how much they struggled against the Packers. And I mean, I know that the Lions are a better team. That doesn't mean that they'll match up the same. But I mean, for me too, like, is Debo playing? Because like, if Debo's out, like Stephen A was even like all over this one earlier, saying like, if Debo doesn't play, he might just take the Lions straight up.
Yeah, that's a good question. I might. Yeah, that's a good question because if Devo is out, I do not feel confident with the Lions. So let me check. Is Debo?
Well, because when I looked, they said he's literally a coin flip.
And I do not feel good about that.
Well, because I mean, yeah, they have a lot of weapons, but at the same time, I mean, Debo is just so versatile. I mean, McCaffrey is amazing, obviously, and so is like Ayuk and Kittle.
So
But
sorry, I'm just looking up. So far, and granted, this is ESPN, he didn't have a fracture in his shoulder. So that's at least a good if you're a 49ers fan. And I think it's going to be. So is he going to be in practice? That's a good question. Or is he not going to be practicing?
Yeah.
It's still uncertain right now. So it's like, oh my goodness, would you want? And like I said, would you be nervous to have Devo if he's like not 100%? You know what I mean? Because
Well,
I would.
I mean, and I'm going to make another argument for the Lions here too. I mean, granted, around the 49ers, but like, I don't think these teams are necessarily as different in reality as I view them on paper. Because like, if you just like look at the overall like build of the teams, they're similar. Like, you have a top like maybe 5 tight end. Like, Laporta's amazing, Kittle's amazing. You have elite running back play. Like, between Gibbs and Montgomery, they've been unbelievable. You have an elite wide receiver. You have, the only difference really is like Debo, but because he gives you at least 2 options at receiver. And I mean, obviously, like, the 49ers have a few more defensive stars too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think these teams match up a little bit closer than in my like original thought, personally.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
mean, granted, like I've said for all season, like I'm there's definitely some bias right now because like I've said all year I thought that the 49ers are well, I mean, they're one of the 2 best teams in football. But I mean, I still would say that the Cowboys are a better team than the Packers. And like, upsets happen. But,
yeah.
I mean,
And that's probably, I would say, the one negative is San Francisco in the Brock Purdy era. In the Garoppolo era, they did make it to 1 Super Bowl, but they've been choking.
Yeah.
They can't get it in the end. They can't beat it at the end. You know what I mean? Granted, they have an elite QB with Brock, but that's my one
worry.
worry.
I mean, that's the thing, though, because like I think Purdy and Goff have a lot of similarities to me too. But I mean, if you also look at it, we have a number 1 overall pick at QB on the Lions, and you have a 6th round pick or whatever, or Mr. Irrelevant there for the 49ers. I mean, doesn't mean too much, but we've seen Brock Purdy get rattled. Like, that's so. I mean, because my coworker that's a huge 49ers fan, like, she lives and breathes 49ers, and she is insanely nervous. Like, she is like talking about like how much Brock Purdy is getting rattled and how like the Lions are just like playing so intensely. and she is like shaking right now, like, and not even joking. She's like, man, she's like, I don't know about Brock Purdy. Like, can he hold up in the biggest moment?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, like I said, and I mean, it stunk for last year because last year, like Brock Purdy got hurt, and then basically there was no hope at that after that point, basically.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
that's the thing. I mean, you know, you kind of get an out when you mess up your elbow. But I mean, this is kind of the year. I mean, it doesn't feel as dire as like a Lamar Jackson one. Because I mean,
no,
this is only year 2, but like also you're going to kind of start to get that label of choker if you lose a home NFC championship game
against a team that's never even made it to the Super Bowl or has never
yeah.
even made it this far. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had
Absolutely.
Goff, but like everybody else, Hutchinson's never been it this far. St.
Yeah.
Brown's never made it this far.
How wild would it be if the Lions played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl? Because that literally would have been the first NFL game and the last NFL game. I
That
wonder
is
if that's
crazy. Has that ever happened? Has it ever happened that there's been the first NFL game and the last NFL game of the regular season?
yeah, like that'd be a pretty cool fact. Like, you know,
That would be a cool fact. Honestly, it would be kind of. I wouldn't be surprised if either the Chiefs or the Lions make it to the Super Bowl. And also, I wouldn't be shocked if both the Chiefs and Lions lose, and it's just San Francisco. And I was right the whole time when I said it was San Francisco versus Baltimore.
yeah. I mean, just from this conversation, I can feel like myself getting excited and like kind of thinking through how the Lions could win. I mean, but at the end of the day, I think we both know the 49ers are one of the 2 most complete teams in football. I mean, I would love to see a 49ers versus Ravens rematch in the Super Bowl. Like, I would hope that it would go differently this time. But I don't know. I like the 49ers. I really think that they're a very, very complete team. But, like, they've also lost here a lot. Like you said, like, I think they've made it here like 7 times in the last like 10 years, and they've lost like 4 or 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and they haven't won either of those Super Bowls. So it's like, they're a team that like always kind of contends, but like they haven't made it over that hump yet.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think because it's been since '95 since the last time they won the Super Bowl. It's been since Ray Rice was like in the team. That's how long it's been.
I think you meant Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice, sorry, Jerry
Ray
Rice.
Rice getting some elevators in here. What?
Whap, whap. Joe Montana was on the team. That's the last time they won a Super Bowl. That is crazy to think that.
Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, that's what's hard too, because I mean, I would be okay with them winning it. The only team I really, if I'm just being, the only team I really don't want to is the Chiefs. Like any of the other like 3, I'm like, okay, like that's fine. But like, I don't like dynasties unless it's my team. I only want a dynasty if it's the Lions.
I was fine when the Cowboys had dynasties. I mean, I'm just saying.
You know, like I'm sure that was an amazing experience for you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, I was like a baby, and I always said my first words were "Goo Goo Gaga, Troy Aikman, Smith.
How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys?
Man, oh man, that's pretty impressive. Starting straight
America's
out in full sentences. Do skip the babble, straight to the sentence.
We them boys.
But yeah, I'm excited. Like this will be a good weekend. This will be a good
I
weekend.
think it's gonna be a good weekend. This is gonna be a good Sunday. I'm so excited to watch this one. And granted, I'm gonna watch these 2 teams. I can't wait. It's gonna be 6 straight hours of just nothing but football, and I'm gonna love it.
All that I can ask for is like, please let both games be good. Like,
Yeah.
I hate nothing more than when there's like a national game and just a blowout.
Oh God, I think that's that is probably like what's probably even worse? A Super Bowl blowout. That's the worst.
That is the worst. You know, you get all the buddies together to watch a game and it's not competitive. And like, granted, if it's the Lions doing the blowing out, like that's fine. You know, that's cool. But like, as just a normal fan watching the NFL, you want a game like last year where it's like close, competitive, lead changes. I want to enjoy the whole game. I don't want to know it's over by halftime.
Yeah, that is probably the worst. Oh my God. Please, please, football gods. I don't want a terrible Super Bowl. Please, I don't want a terrible Super Bowl. I mean, granted, we haven't had a terrible Super Bowl. What is it like Broncos versus Seahawks that one year? Well, it was the Legion
Yeah, I
of
think that was the last bad one. The rest of them have all at least come down to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they're all been pretty good. I think every single one of them has been pretty good or memorable or chokeable.
Well,
if you're Falcons versus Patriots, 28-3.
Well, the thing I like about this time of year too is these coaches are willing to take extra chances. You see teams doing things that they wouldn't in the regular season. It's I think this is where you kind of stay more competitive because you're gonna see if the Lions get behind, they're gonna go for it on some fourth downs. They're gonna change some things up. They're gonna have different schemes that they've kind of prepared. This is when you really get into the coaching and the schemes, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one, and I can't believe it. I think we're pretty much it. We are done with the NFC Championships tier maker list. Isn't it crazy to think about that?
This was a good one, Stu. I'm excited. Look forward to our next rounds of videos, but it's been beautiful.
It has been beautiful, and only 1 hour and 45 minutes. It will be fun when we talk about the Super Bowl. When we get to the Super Bowl, will it go over an hour or not? That's gonna be a fun part. That will be the good question.
And we'll figure it out. I mean, maybe with the postmortems, we'll see how much we have to dissect the losers here. And
oh yeah, I think it's gonna be longer. I think it's gonna be longer than an hour when we do the 2 postmortems. So anyway, we got to discuss what we are gonna do for next week, because next week we're not gonna talk about the Super Bowl predictions. We're gonna do, and Douglas, this is basically my great idea, is we're gonna do the 2 teams that made it to the Super Bowl. And we're going to do so next week. We're going to pick up one team and tell them why did they make it to the Super Bowl. And in the week after that, we'll talk about the other team that's made the Super Bowl. And then we'll do a final tier maker.
Cool. Yes. I look forward to it.
Yes. And hopefully, Douglas, even though we picked the 49ers, wouldn't you want the Lions to be the first one? Just for this year. This year.
I mean, I'm 100% all in on the Lions. If I'm being as unbiased as possible, I would take the 49ers. Yeah. But I mean, the Lions feel like a team of destiny. So
yes,
restore the roar.
Hear the roar, or I always say it, and I'll be, you know what? And I'm going to say it properly and appropriately, Douglas. This ain't your daddy's Lions. This is the brand new Lions.
Hell yeah.
Yes. So anyway. And I will say, after the Super Bowl season's over, the Super Bowl's up, we're going to do a post-mortem on the teams that didn't make it to the Super Bowl and that didn't make it to the playoffs, see what we can do to make them in the playoffs. And then after that, we'll do another one on the teams that did make the playoffs but choked.
Hey, lots of good content coming.
Lots of good content coming, and then we're going to see what we do with the offseason. That's going to be the fun part. We might do some hockey. We might do some basketball. We might even do some off-season trades.
I like that. Well, hopefully next time I see you, we'll be talking about the Lions victory.
We'll talk about the Lions victory. Let's do it. We'll see how it goes. So anyway, we'll see you later, because the Casual Sports Talk podcast said so.
There we go.